This is the Debbie and Dr. Rob Show. You are in the right place if you are tired of the basic self-help and you're ready for a higher level of teaching in neuroscience, Jungian psychology, and Eastern wisdom. We offer world-class personal development and coach training for evolving women entrepreneurs to help you go to the next level of growth in success, relationships, and living your purpose. So let's get started. Hi, Dr. Rob.
Hello, nice to be here.
It's episode number 48. This is a bonus episode where we're going to take a little time to talk about coaching, life coaching, coach training, and how someone can become a certified coach with us. Because we have an amazing process that we want to share with the world. And the two of us, we need help. We need more coaches to teach this work.
Yeah. We can't save the world by ourselves, unfortunately.
We need help, and we're recruiting. One of the reasons why we started the coach training program is because we saw out there that there isn't a lot of advanced training. A lot of the life coach training is pretty basic. And when people started doing the work with us with love, they started asking us, I'd like to be a coach. Are you doing training? They basically asked us. And so we started a couple of years ago training a small amount of people. And over the past 5 years, we've built up the program. And now we have a program every year for people that want to become Jungian life coaches. So let's start off with, what is a Jungian life coach? What is it?
Well, first of all, what is Jungian Spiritual Psychology? Because that's really what we teach and what we practice. Mm-hmm. So there was a spiritual psychology or several spiritual psychology schools already when we started our work. But to our surprise and amazement, they didn't teach Jung.
They didn't teach Jung.
Who it still baffles me today because when, let's say, a Catholic priest or a clergy of some church or even any kind of minister, when they want to learn psychology, they go to Jungian psychology. It's just
it's spiritual
the most
psychology.
Natural fit because Jungian theory accounts for and takes into great account the spiritual needs of people. Human beings, Jung said, are spiritual beings. They, it's just part of their makeup that they need this understanding, and this is a great part of their lives.
So what is so Jungian spiritual psychology is a psychology, first of all, rooted in science, neuroscience, patterns of research that we've seen in psychology over the past 100 years, the most recent developments about how a child develops, how they cope. And then with Jung, he brought in this other element of not only the personal development of someone in their human self, but also the spiritual development, which is the access to that collective unconscious versus just working on their personal patterns.
Right. Yeah, spirituality or spiritual is a loaded term because so many people get the idea that it's a religion or it's talking about religious things, but that's not what it means. It's simply pointing to this human aspect of always wanting to transcend our everyday life in some form or another, through meditation, through prayer, through ritual, getting in touch with something bigger than your ordinary life that then informs, nourishes, and augments your everyday life to make it rich and powerful. And without that, it's like a plant without roots. Mm-hmm. If you look at history, all throughout history, people have had that connection in one way or another. And now people believe that just because we have computers and machines and spaceships and all this, that we can get rid of that. Mm-hmm. And that's just not so. So our mission was really to bring that forth and reawaken that need and fulfill that need through spiritual psychology based on Jungian theory.
And go ahead. From my journey, I was raised Catholic. I, really believed in God and believed in the power of prayer and all those things. And when I got older, I just felt like there was something more. I was very intuitive, and I had these dreams, and the church didn't give me enough use, practical use in everyday life of how do I apply these principles in my everyday life. And so I moved to Colorado and I started doing all this spiritual work, but it was very new age and very unstructured, coming from many, many different sources. And so it was almost like I was just grasping at everything to really find out what I really believed, what spirituality is really about. What is this intuition that I've noticed about myself? What are these dreams telling me? And, with coaching, I always felt like there's two parts. There's the coaching gives you that practical, how to cope with the world. And then the spirituality is more like manifesting and magic. And both of them, they didn't feel like they went together. You either see coaches that are very practical or you see them way out there.
Left field.
Yeah, like channeling and doing all these things that are fine, but they're not, they're not bridging the psychology. And so what I love about Jungian psychology is that it brings both worlds together. So you get the practical, you get to understand the thinking and the manifestation of my thoughts create my reality, understanding your personal history. But then you also have this element of the higher self and in an experience of it versus just an idea of God or an idea of my wisdom self. You actually have a direct experience. So that's what I loved about it is through my journey, and I know that a lot of women that we've worked with over the years felt that way too. It's they needed something deeper and more profound without feeling like they're in therapy and without feeling like they're, it's this way out concept that is not grounded in any kind of theory that's related to anything. Just kind of a pop theory.
Yeah, well, you mentioned the Catholic Church. Jung himself was very interested in the symbolism that the Church still holds on to in their rituals and their masses. But
I know one of my people told me that. Did you know that the Catholic religion is one of the most mystical? And I didn't even realize that. No one teaches us that. So yeah.
But he saw that people had lost the meaning of the symbols.
Yes.
And so the symbols are there in the walls and in the iconography and the Mass, but people, they just go through the motions without, well, let's say most people.
Yeah, and like the archetypes are there and the symbols of blood and
and I think it's like that with most religions. Mm-hmm. They have good intentions and they have those symbols and deeper mysticism, but people have kind of forgotten it. Mm-hmm. So our purpose was really to create a coaching model. So what that means is that it's not about therapy. It's not just disguising therapy in a coaching model.
Yeah.
It's really developing a new way of using the psychology to touch upon those main points, right? What do people need? Well, they need meaningful relationships. They need a real connection with their deeper selves, with their psyche, through dreams, through understanding their visions, their intuition. And also they need a connection with nature and the universe, the physical universe, to feel at home in the world and not feel alienated. And we kept those things, but we took out all the pathologizing about complexes and wounds and healing. Not that it's not important. Obviously, some people do need those elements, but when we saw the deeper meaning of Jungian's spiritual psychology, it pointed to this idea that we are already whole. Mm. There's nothing wrong with us. It's simply a process of becoming more aware, and that awakening of our mind and our body and our awakening up to the world is a natural process. It's natural, and the things that we call problems, blocks, illnesses, etc., they're simply pointing the way. Mm-hmm. They're trying to wake us up. But if you see them as obstacles or as errors, then that's what they become for you.
And when I was doing my search before I did Jungian psychology, my spiritual life was basically about escaping the world. It was about pushing the ego away, pushing my small self away, and just becoming my higher self, and not really allowing. It was almost like they call it spiritual bypassing, where you're really ignoring your life and you're just thinking in this. You're up in the clouds, and I love the way Jung works is about integration. So what you want to do is you want to integrate and acknowledge your personal history and not let it stop you, but not push it away either. And I think that for me, for many years, I put all the things I didn't like about my human self in the shadow, and it was still running me, even though I was like in my little fairyland of visualization and meeting my little, whatever spirit guides that they were telling me were there. And that's really fun. But I felt like I wasn't really grounded in change and transformation. And it was just a kind of an escape. And I think a lot of people do that. And not to knock it, because I think I needed to go through that in order to get where I am today. So I needed to kind of have both extremes to really find the truth of what's inside of me and what's my potential is. So I think all of you listening, you probably have that feeling of, oh yeah, I tried all that stuff, or I'm still doing that stuff, and there's nothing wrong with it. I think it's part of our journey. And even Jung did all that too. He explored a lot of mystical traditions, and a lot of people think that's who he was, but he was exploring it from a psychological perspective.
Very, very much so. He always insisted that what he was doing was empirical, meaning it was scientific. Mm. He was investigating those realms of the psyche that most people don't go to, but that he was doing it in a systematic and scientific way. So a lot of people ask us, well, how do you train people to do these things?
It seems so deep.
Because it is a natural process that we all have in us, innate, meaning we're born with it.
To become our true selves.
To become our higher selves. What we do is we help people undergo their own process, mm-hmm. their own individuation process. And through that, then, they learn it from the inside out. Mm-hmm. They learn what it entails, what are the stages of the process, and of course they're getting lessons as we coach them through it. So we do individual coaching that is throughout the year, where we take our students through the process of individuation itself.
So we have the classes online, in person, and then also personal. You get the basic training of what studying studying his process, his terminology, the way he saw the psyche, and understand dream interpretation, understanding how to work with someone in their shadow, working with emotions, and then we do that on the group level and in person. We have 2-3-day in-person trainings in LA, and then which most people, I don't know any other system that does this. You get training with Rob. I mean, to get trained and coached directly and mentored by the person who created the process himself, you get private sessions with Rob. So it's a private coaching 10-month program, and that includes the group that's all going through that same process, but you get your own transformation. And what I like about it is, you can learn anything in a book. You could read Jung till you're, every book. There's tons of books out there on Jung. A lot of people say, well, can I just read this in a book? You could do an online, get a binder of questions to ask as a coach and how to do coaching and the mechanics of, what's a script for a coaching call from other coach trainings. But what you can't get that really makes a difference, what we offer, is that experience. And very early on, I asked one of my coaches when I first started, I said, how do you become, what's the best training for a coach? And she told me, she said, the best training for a coach is to have a great coach. That is the best training you can get. If you don't have a great coach, you can learn a lot of theory, you can learn a lot of ideas, you can have a lot of list of questions, but until you get coached by a master, you won't become a master. And so what we do is we have a small training group. We're not a sea of 100 people. It's a very intimate group. It's under 20 people in each class, so it's very small and very customized. So each person will work with Rob based on what their individual target is. So some people, they want to work in the relationship realm. So Rob would tailor their coaching sessions around that and mentoring around that. Some people want to work in business, so he would tailor the sessions around that. Some people want to work in the mind-body field. He would tailor the sessions around that. So you get a customized training. This is not available anywhere else. Most life coach trainings will give you, you're in a big group of people. You get a lot of homework. You have to, to do lots of tests, and it feels like academic, very dry, and you're coaching with their coaches that are their trainees. You're not coaching with the person who created the program, and you really are in a sea of people, and you're just trying to make it on your own and figure it all out. And I've seen and talked to a lot of people who've done those programs, and they come to us because they don't feel that they got a complete training. So a lot of people say, well, your training is more expensive than most trainings. And yes, it is, but it's more expensive to go for the cheap training and then not feel qualified and never do anything with your business, with your coaching business, because you don't feel that you have the skills. And so what we do in the program is really help you become a very talented, skilled coach. You have a coach partner, and you get coached, and you coach all throughout the program.
Yeah. And obviously this is not for everyone.
Absolutely
like
not.
You said, they're small classes precisely because it's not a mass appeal or mass market for us. We really speak to those individuals that are ready to transform their lives. They're really ready to do some deep work. This is not therapy, remember, but this is definitely a self-reflective period in their lives where they really have to go inward and understand how did I get here? How did I create my current circumstances in life? And what do these things mean to me? And how am I going to transform this life that's around me into what I want to create? The vision of what I want to create, of who I really am. And that's the beautiful part, is really that at the end of the year, you get to create your life. Or during that time, I'd say.
Even if you never wanted to become a coach, you'd have a transformation that would change your life.
And there are some people that do it simply for the transformation part. They don't really want to change careers or be a coach.
Or they add it on to their career. They're in the corporate world, and they use it for corporate training. Some of the people actually, they take the training because they love the work, and then they approach their organization, and the organization says, well, would you like to do some workshops for us? And so they start getting offers because people start to notice that there's something different about them. They have a power. A lot of our coaches, they start right away, and they start their businesses, and they can make really great progress. Some people even start their businesses in the program. They start charging. Some of our coaches have made tens of thousands of dollars in coaching fees while they're doing the program. So it really is an amazing transformation for you, but you have such deeper tools to work with people. And I think one of the things that I love about this work is that I'm a very mystical person. I love the mystical realm and feeling that magic that we feel that's in the other worlds, and having lucid dreams and working with dream work and visualizations and intuition. But I feel as though it's grounded in psychology, so we understand what we're experiencing versus it's just this magical experience. And I remember what you said, that it's like child's play if you don't know what you're dealing with. And there are amazing, incredible forces inside of us, inside of our psyche, inside of this universal world we're in that we can access. And if we're grounded and we understand what we're dealing with, we can really go to really experience life in a much richer way. And I really think that for me, I always say this, is that it feels like life is a dream. You start to feel this kind of, I guess Jung called it the numinous quality. It's that, have you ever had that moment where you're a really special moment, like at a wedding or a baby, they have that numinous quality, this like really magical time, like sunsets have that numinous quality where everything seems to glow, or right after the rain. And imagine life being that way. Imagine life not being so stressful and anxiety-ridden and on the constant chase, and to be grounded, even if the world is chaotic around us, that we can carry that peace and be a leader in the world to help others free their mind and have that experience as well.
Another of the elements that we incorporate deeply in our work is Eastern philosophy. Mm-hmm. And there are different Eastern philosophies, I should add, but ours in particular is really based on the Upanishads. We consider the Upanishads to be really the source of all mysticism, all religious thought, all spirituality on the planet. It's some of the oldest writings in the world, and if you read them, they're like water to a thirsty man or woman. It's just that
you just drink it up.
Yeah, that nectar, as it says, the nectar of immortality. The wisdom that's derived through the Upanishads really fits well with Jungian psychology, and it lends in that spiritual element too, that mysticism and the techniques of meditation and mind-body understanding that deepens the work much more.
And I think people do want to study spirituality. They want to study the Eastern philosophy, and a lot of what I've seen out there is a lot of pop spirituality and manifestation and law of attraction. And this is really the root of where a lot of those things arose from, but misinterpreted in many times. And also to have that feeling of understanding psychology. So you have like a deep lesson in spiritual life from the root, from the source, and then also psychology from the source. So you're not just getting a pop psychology course or a pop spiritual theory. You're actually we're teaching you the root. And so when I always tell people, when I was in the corporate world, I've always wanted to study psychology. I read a lot of books on psychology. So if you are one of those people that just love to learn about how the human mind functions, how it works, how spirituality comes into play in the human experience, this program is really transformational with yourself, but also you're going to gain so much knowledge that you're going to feel as if your life just started right after you graduate. It's like, what did I do before this? It's going to change the way dramatically how you see yourself and how you see the world. It truly is amazing. And our next class is beginning in September of 2018.
Yeah, it's coming around.
So we have, I think we're almost 50% full. I think we have 10 people now. So we have 10 spots left. And we really, truly want to get the best people that are ready. So if you're interested, you can go to JungianLifeCoach.com and read about our system a little more. And there's an application on that page that you can fill out, and then you'll get a free consultation with me. And I'll talk to you about the program, and I'll just check in to see if you're ready for it and if it fits in to your life and your budget. So the investment for the program is $18,000. includes all the private coaching. You get access to Rob directly for 10 months. It includes all the trainings, all the recordings, scripts for visualization. It includes your practicum, so you don't have to spend money after you're done to get a coach to learn, which some coach trainings do. They make you actually pay for coaching to get certified. We include that. You coach with each other, your coaching buddy, so it's all included. And the 3-day live events for $18,000, and that is 10 payments of $1,800 if you want to do the payment plan. If you'd rather pay in full, we have a discount. It's $15,000 if you pay in full. So there are many options for you. For what you get, it is really a great value, and I promise you, you will feel like what you've learned was priceless.
Yeah, and I think that the third element of the program is that it's very practical. We make it so because if you're not able to apply it in the way we live today with emails and computers and Skype calls and all that good stuff, then it's just a beautiful thought. Mm-hmm. We want you to be able to apply it in whatever setting you're in, whether you're in the corporate world or you're ready to become a coach or you're doing coaching already. We want you to make it work for you in your life. And as it has worked for us, it's really become the way we do our business, the way we do our life.
It's a way of life.
Yeah, it's a philosophy and a way of seeing the world. So if you're ready to really transform and go deep into understanding the nature of reality, like we say, the nature of the psyche, then this program is for you. And
it is going to be, you will talk about, a lot of people say, well, there's so many coaches out there. Well, you know what? There aren't many Jungian coaches. We are the only ones who do this type of training in the world. And it's going to become more popular because people are going to get burned out by working on their limiting beliefs and doing all the superficial stuff. There is a market out there that we found of women and men that are highly educated, that want smart coaching. They don't want tricks and tapping and, weird rituals. They want real solid psychology and solid spirituality, solid spiritual work to live their lives. And they are no nonsense. And so and they have money to spend. So there is a huge market that's not being tapped right now of people that are hungry for this type of work. So you will be in the forefront of being the next wave of coaching. And Rob and I are really committed to raising the bar in coach training. There's so much basic coach training. There's nothing wrong with that. There's actually a lot of people that they're kind of, they're only on that level. But we know that there's a need for another higher level. So this isn't mass market. This is really a specific audience that is untapped and unserviced right now. Underserved, I should say. They're looking for people like our graduates. And so there's a great opportunity now to get in on the ground floor and stand out among all your competitive life coaches out there, because you're going to have tools that they don't have. And you're going to go deeper than other people won't be able to go. And just want you to know that if this work appeals to you, you're going to find more people out there that are hungry for it as well.
Awesome.
So apply today. Go to JungianLifeCoach.com and fill out the application. I would love to speak with you. And the program's starting. We're closing it off, applications, once we reach 20 people, and you'll have to wait till next year. All you need to do to get registered or reserve your spot is to put a deposit down of $2,000. So, and you can make the payments over the time of your training. So that's not a problem. And we're really going to help you become the best coach that you can be and have the best training and foundation for creating an abundant business.
Yeah. So hope to see you in the program. And if you're on the fence, just do a call with us, and we'll figure it out.
Yes.
See if it's a good match for you.
Great. Well, thank you for joining us. If you want, make a comment in our Facebook group, Debbie and Dr. Rob Show Facebook group. And we have a new website that's going to be launching. It's debbieanddrrob.com. So make sure you check it out. And want to just wish you the best in your life. And thank you for joining us and being a part of our podcast.
Yeah, much love. Take care.
You've been listening to the Debbie and Dr. Rob Show. To find out more about us, you can visit us on our website at debbieandrob.com. Also, please don't forget to subscribe to us on iTunes or Google Play. We'd love to see you on every show, and thank you so much for joining us. And we hope you remember to believe in your biggest dreams.